Vasudevaya. Change title. Great. So continuing to read from Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, the glory and grandeur of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. As we mentioned, why are we reading about him? He's the guru of Srila Prabhupada, and we saw what Srila Prabhupada did and who he was. We want to know who produced such a personality. We read last time on early life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So continuing now, early life, then we'll move to the pre-sannyas period. So here now we are continuing early life. The personal servant of Bihari Das Babaji, Sri Bihari Das Babaji, the personal servant of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, described young Bimala when he's as a child. He says, I often saw Srila Bhaktisiddhanta in his childhood in Calcutta at the house of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur whenever I visited there with Babaji Maharaj. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would wear only a pullover shirt. He struck me as having a serious nature. I was attracted by his effulgence and learning. He was always attracted to the holy name. In his earlier years, his frame was very lean. Babaji Maharaj loved him dearly, Jagannath Das Babaji. Once a reputed Babaji noticed that Bimala had failed to pay him obeisances. When the Babaji asked Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur why this was so, he was told, because he does not offer dandavat to sahajiyas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw in his son the potential to carry forward the propaganda he had begun. Thus he took him to preaching engagements, to holy places and to meet sadhus, and directed him to apply his scintillating intelligence in studying Vaishnava philosophy and doctrines opposed to it. Young Bimala took naturally to such training, osmotically imbibing his father's mood of full surrender to Krishna and compassionate desire to inspire Hari Bhakti in others. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, at that time that British education system was there. So he also took him to begin for this secular education. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also wanted that Bimala receive the best of secular education. The emerging Bengali Bhadralok placed much importance on Western schooling as the key to success and prestige and culture, for in those days, preceding mass education, degree holders were few and there were marked difference between educated and those with little or no schooling. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not enamored by worldly academics like people are today, especially some devotees, especially in ISKCON, so much putting importance in mundane education. Actually, it's not at all important for bhakti at all. In fact, it's a big obstacle to bhakti, mundane education system. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur knew that. He put Bhaktisiddhanta in school for different reasons. It's written here, he was not enamored by worldly academics. He declared that materialistic education converts the jiva into an ass. Who knows that song? It's called Vidyara Vilasa. Jeev ko koroi gadha. Jada Vidya, material education. He wrote that. But he knew that if Bimala Prasad were to reach the leaders of society, he would have to be culturally attuned to them and be able to present Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message in a manner that they could accept. So, he put him in a secular education system. Bimala's formal education commenced at an English school in Ranaghat. In September 1880, he was admitted to Oriental Seminary in Calcutta. By age 7, he had memorized all verses of Bhagavad Gita and could explain their meaning according to Vaishnava Siddhanta. In 1883, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was transferred to Sri Rampur, just outside Calcutta, and in October, he enrolled Bimala in the Union School there. In 1887, Bimala entered Metropolitan Institution in Calcutta, where he began to study Sanskrit grammar and Jyotish. In 1885, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur took Bimala along with him with other sons to visit few places of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in Bengal. Arriving late one evening on the outskirts of Kulinagram, a settlement whose former inhabitants were very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the father and sons were accorded repose in a temple. Kulinagram is today what is known as Navadvip, that section across when you're coming by train from Calcutta, you come to a small town from which we take a boat. We call it Navadvip today, town. Actually, Navadvip is a whole bundle, but that was actually Kulinagram. So next morning, upon entering the hamlet, they were asked by some local residents where they had come from and where they had spent the night. Upon hearing the answer, the village man immediately asked, "How could you have slept? No one can stay there peacefully. It's haunted by a Brahma Rakshas who pitches stones and brickbats at anyone passing by after dusk." Then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur replied, "Yes, that ghost did try to disturb us, but I loudly chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and he went away." Learning that he was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whom they already knew of because some had read his books, the villagers became most obedient and further questioned, "How did you kill that ghost by chanting Hare Krishna? Previously he was the priest of that temple and he chanted Hare Krishna whole life. How did he become a ghost and how could your chanting expel him?" Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur told them that the priest must have vibrated only the syllables of the name, thus producing a physical lip-deep sound lacking spiritual essence. When Bhaktivinoda asked about his character, they replied he was not good, he committed many sinful acts, but he used to recite Harinam almost constantly. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur further explained why the priest could not have been truly chanting. Sinful people with intention of acquiring wealth and reputation make a show of kirtan, but that is merely cheating, as stated in Jagadananda Pandit's Prema Vivarta. Asadu sange bhai Krishna naam nahi hoy, namakshara bahirai, bate nama kabhu noy. Those not in association of authentic devotees cannot actually utter the holy name, even though they may externally vibrate the sound Krishna. That is not actually the name of Krishna. So there's a lot here, we'll just skip through some part of it. He was in a secular school, and a lot of incidents happened in that school also. Here it's mentioned that Bimala was becoming recognized as a nascent genius, delighting in debates on many diverse subjects. His masterly command of knowledge and insight rendered him undefeatable, almost. And although generally respectful and polite towards his mentors, as was the norm in those days, he was so dedicated to truth that he could not brook any misleading statement or misrepresentation in any field, and did not hesitate to expose insufficiency in opposing positions, even if it was presented honorably by seniors, still he rejected if it was not correct. So some incidents. We know that at some point, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he went into Jyotish. So he commented on Surya Siddhanta. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati's edition of Surya Siddhanta was in response to an 1860 Bengali translation by Srila Bapudev Shastri, which recast the Vedic science as being in line with and in need of improvement by Western astronomy. Previously, someone had commented on it, saying that it is okay, but Western astronomy has to sort it out, make it in line. So that's not a fact. It's Veda. It's perfect. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati edition also provided necessary bija samskaras, fundamental recalibration to its equation to accurately reset the astronomical constants in Surya Siddhanta. Even though some small philosophical point that in Jyotish we have calculations, but the universe is moving, the planets, and they have to recalibrate the constants. This was required because those constants actually fluctuate due to perturbations in planetary motion. Thus, to remain meaningful, the equations describing them must be revised approximately every 100 years. But for a long time they hadn't done it. So it was not accurate, so then they thought, that scholar thought that it has to be, because it's not in line with Western astrology. So now we'll finish this section of early life. During school days, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati studied the Vedas under Pandit Prithvi Shar Sharma, who also tutored him in the grammatical work Siddhanta Kaumudi. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati went through the entire grammar in 3 months, covering the section on Sandhi in 3 days. Pandit Sharma cautioned, "You should not finish the perusal of Sandhi so quickly. It took me a long time." In Banaras, scholars go through Panini's grammar during their whole life. Whoever continuously studies Panini attains liberation upon dying. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati replied, "Then from today I reject you. The goal of my life is neither mastery of grammar nor liberation, but worship of Hari and attaining his affection. I have studied the Vedas, the branches of the Vedas and their connate parts only in a secondary manner." Sri Siddhanta Saraswati ki jai. Okay. Moving to our next section, pre-sannyas period. So he grew up, he was in secular education, and but during his secular education, he had arguments with the principals and teachers because some were atheistic, and some arguments were very serious, even though they were senior people. And once the principal, he brought Siddhanta Saraswati and the teachers and professors and made peace with them. But later he directly quarreled with the principal. So then he just left. So employment. After quitting college, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati remained at home for some time, taking dictation from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's upcoming classic, Jaiva Dharma. Super excellent literature written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which Srila Prabhupada said is very important. Requested by the king of Tripura, Maharaj Virachandra Dev Varma Manikya Bahadur, to visit the state capital Agartala, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur did so in July 1895, accompanied by Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. On each of his 4 days there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur lectured at the royal palace, and his unique talks on Nama Tattva and Chaitanya Leela enthralled the Maharaj and his court Panditas. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati did not think it proper that he be maintained by his father. According to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's 4th son, Sri Kamala Prasad, who was Maharaj Virachandra Dev's Diwan, he introduced Srila Siddhanta Saraswati to the king, who thereupon retained Sri Siddhanta Saraswati as sub-editor of Raj Ratnakar, a compilation of the biographies of the rulers of Tripura. While discharging this service, Srila Siddhanta Saraswati availed of the opportunity to study books in their royal library. Notwithstanding that his father and mentor was one of the most esteemed religious leaders of the era, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was clearly destined to be an outstanding personage in his own right. I'm going to comment on that because some people may not get the English, so I'm just going to repeat again that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself was a great personality, but Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, although he was known because he was his son, but on his own he was becoming known as a great personality. He was already recognized as a scholar in important spiritual voice and an important spiritual voice. Despite being employed and earning money, he was never like an ordinary materialist. Rather, he stuck close to the association and precepts of his pure devotee father. And since his duties kept him mostly in Calcutta, he was able to serve Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur like a private secretary. Most young men of his age and status were making plans for family life and career. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was interested only in serving Krishna and was resolved to do so without the encumbrances of household affairs. After the incumbent king of Tripura passed away in 1896, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was deputed by the successor to instruct the princes in Bengali and Sanskrit. Actually, Tripura that time was a princely state, separate state under a king. And it was ruled by Vaishnava Acharyas for some 300 years. Because Narottam Das Thakur had sent preachers there and had changed everyone to Vaishnavism. So they were very much attracted to Lord Chaitanya and his Sankirtan movement. So he was very much, we'll see, involved in Tripura, kings. So he was doing the service there. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati performed diverse services for the royal family until 1905, when, disgusted with pervasive and seemingly unrectifiable envy, malice and sleaze in government office, he withdrew from their employ. The then king Radha Kishore Manikya Bahadur offered Sri Siddhanta Saraswati a full pension because he was serving there. But he accepted that until 1908, but then renounced it. Later, the Tripura kings began giving monthly allowance to the Yogpit temple in Mayapur. He himself later took sannyas and he said, I cannot get a salary. And but they continued donating to the Yogapit, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur had established. So now at some point, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he went deep into Jyotish, much more. For some months, Siddhanta Saraswati lived in Vrindavan at Radharaman Gheta, studying books and absorbing the devotional culture and atmosphere. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was close to Radharaman Goswamis, particularly Madhusudan Goswami, with whom he traveled in areas of western and northern India, holding public meetings to establish Vaishnava Siddhanta and defeat popular misconceptions. This is very significant because we understand that there were many caste Goswamis within Gaudiya Sampradaya which had deteriorated, and he mostly he fought against them. But actually Radharaman Goswamis, they remained pure for a long time. As we mentioned, you will see later that when later Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took sannyas and brought his followers to Vrindavan, all of them closed their doors. All the main temples run by caste Goswamis, Gaudiya, they didn't allow them inside. But Radharaman did, except Radharaman temple. And later on, even when Srila Prabhupada came to Vrindavan and brought his Western disciples, he put them there to learn deity worship for ISKCON Vrindavan. So very close association from the beginning. During a period beginning from 1896, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati started and edited 3 Jyotish. When was Srila Prabhupada's appearance? Year?
1896.
1896. Because 108th one was 2004. 108th appearance. Sure. So this is the same year. During the period beginning from 1896, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati started and edited Jyotish publications, the monthly journals Brihaspati in Bengali and Scientific India in English, and an almanac entitled Bhakti Bhavana Panjika, And following his acclaim presentation of Surya Siddhanta, he continued to prepare translations and glosses on other ancient Jyotish treatises. So he did a lot in Jyotish. I'll skip this. One important point is in he also published Navadip Panjika. In 1901, Siddhanta Sarasvati floated another Jyotish monthly, Jyotirvid, and later with the help of the renowned Jyotish Nandulal Vidyasagar, he directed the publication of Sri Navadip Panjika. So this was the fulfillment of a desire of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, who had appraised Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur of the need for an almanac specifically meant for persons cultivating Shuddha Bhakti. For at that time, the only almanac available catered to Smartha-dominated pantheistic Hinduism. Do you know what's an almanac? What?
It's like a calendar.
It's
important events.
Yeah, important events during the year. Tithis. So it was not there for Gaudiyas. Appearance, disappearance days.
Just like now we have Vaishnav calendar. Same thing.
Vaishnav calendar is that's a Panchang. But almanac means the important dates, like in Magh Mas, important Tithis. In this Mas, important Tithis. So just as in Sri Harinam Amrita Vyakan, Srila Jiva Goswami had explained every word and grammatical case by utilizing a name of Hari, in Navadip Panjika, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati promoted Harinam by employing different names of Vishnu for each month, fortnight and day. Additionally, he gave dates of Vaishnava festivals, proper and improper time frames for performing samskaras, auspicious and inauspicious times for undertaking various activities. Throughout this much travel life, he undertook journeys only during astrological propitious times. Oh, it's significant. He followed these things. He followed the auspicious and inauspicious times. Many we are not following now. Some are questioning in ISKCON whether we should follow Panchang. But Sri Siddhanta Saraswati's astrological explorations never negated his pursuit of bhakti, which was always the main focus in life. Now, one significant part that we'll know about him is his observance of Chaturmasya. From 1897, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati began to observe Chaturmasya. Although this 4-month vow of austerity is enjoined for all followers of the Vedic path, Gaudiyas had been neglecting it, largely due to erroneous propaganda of certain Prakrita Sahajas that it was merely karmakandi. Taking inspiration from Sri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, who rigidly followed Chaturmasya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had reintroduced the vow according to the directions of Hari Bhakti Vilas and other Shastriya rules meant for curtailing sense gratification during that period. We should observe Chaturmasya. Although Shastra gives allowance for partial observance of Chaturmasya, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati undertook the vow punctiliously, following all its details. Once daily before sunset, he would take only rice cooked by his own hand, with just a touch of ghee, but no salt or spices, by the method known as go grass, feeding like a cow, eating directly from the ground with no plate, by sitting and leaning forward and not using hands, and eating no more after once rising from that position. He foresaw shaving and paring nails and slept minimally on the bare earthen floor of his hut, without bedding, pillow, or even a straw mat. By such severe austerities, he became emaciated. Although by such willful neglect of bodily demands, he sometimes became very sick, still he would not consult a doctor. But after Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur reproved him, asserting that such self-denial was unnecessary, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati desisted from such rigorous practice of Chaturmasya. Further scholarly activities he performed. In October 1898, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, accompanied by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, accompanied him to the holy places Banaras, Prayag and Gaya. about which he collected much information that later appeared in his Anubhasha commentary on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. In Banaras, a Sri Vaishnava Pandit became much pleased by Sri Siddhanta Saraswati's deep knowledge of the Sri Sampradaya. During 1899, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati became editor of and a major contributor to the spiritual portion of Nivedana, also called Signboard, a new English religious cum secular weekly started by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and published from Bhakti Bhavan. Lot of publications they published. And there's more list of other journals. Okay, now the topic of initiation. After performing bhajan in 1898, for almost 32 years in Vrajamandala, Srila Gorakishodas Babaji Maharaj arrived in Navadip Dham, eager for darshan of deities of Sri Gaura Vishnupriya at the newly revealed birth site of Lord Chaitanya, revealed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Babaji Maharaj was a bhajan anandi, preferring to live in a holy place to concentrate on chanting rather than going out into the world to establish temples and recruit followers. As Sakshat Vairagya Murti, renunciation personified, he rejected bodily comforts and made little effort to shelter or maintain his body. He ate raw earth, uncooked rice, and other items generally considered inedible. He shunned company, had no patience with pretenders posing as devotees, and ignored, vituperated those who approached him. He cared not for any residence. In Navadip, he lived for some time under a chai, which is a detachable wicker awning of a country boat. I don't know. I think it's under an upside down boat. And for several months in a latrine he lived. His possessions were practically nil. Sometimes he donned cloth taken from dead bodies at the burning hearth. At other times he went naked. He had no interest apart from chanting the holy names continuously and associating with a few devotees he recognized as genuine. Towards the end of 1988, at Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's newly constructed house in Swananda Sukhata Kunj, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati had his first darshan of Babaji Maharaj, who arrived there wearing a tiger skin cap and carrying a basket containing puja paraphernalia, both of which had been given to him by the famed Sri Bhagavan Das Babaji of Kalna. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati became deeply struck upon hearing Babaji Maharaj recite a song articulating Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's feelings for Srimati Radharani. He wrote down those esoteric verses and ensouled them as the essence of his own internal bhajan. Sometime later, Babaji Maharaj presented Sri Siddhanta Saraswati with that hat and basket of paraphernalia, as well as 4 or 5 pieces of knotted string for counting japa, and a tilak stamp with the initials Ha and Kra, meaning Hare Krishna. Although practically worthless materially, these gifts were spiritually invaluable, having been given by a Paramahamsa. So many different gurus wanted Srila Siddhanta Saraswati as their disciple, because some were not so bona fide gurus. They were giving Diksha for different purposes. So they knew at the time that he wanted to take Diksha, all of them were keen. Although many reputed gurus were desirous to count Sri Siddhanta Saraswati as their own, he detected their insincerity, spurned by their wooing, and stood opposed to them. He recognized they were trying to attract him to take Diksha from them, so he rejected them. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had been his Shiksha Guru from birth. He was father, he was also his Shiksha Guru, and had given him Harinam and mantras for worshipping Sri Narasimha Dev and Sri Kurma Dev. Yet, so that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati could attain additional spiritual shelter, guidance and inspiration, for his future colossal service, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent him to Srila Gaura Kishodas Babaji for further initiation. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was decidedly aristocratic, intellectual, and exemplary virtuous deportment, whereas by external consideration, Babaji Maharaj was illiterate, cranky, and crude. Externally. Actually, it was people mentioned that Babaji Maharaj could not sign his own name, which is, of course, quite common that time and that place. But he would offer verbal commentary during readings of Srimad Bhagavatam, possessed some books, and sometimes wrote letters dictated to and sent by his disciples. So, Gaurakishore Das Babaji was vehemently opposed, and he refused persons who approach him for Diksha. Sometimes he'll beat them with an umbrella. Predictably, he also declined to induct this would-be disciple. Siddhanta Saraswati approached him for Diksha, he rejected. Babaji Maharaj told him, I once accepted a disciple, but he cheated me and went away. I will not make any further disciples. So Srila Siddhanta Saraswati was not easily discouraged and again begged for mercy. Babaji Maharaj responded, I will ask Mahaprabhu. If he gives permission, your request will be granted. When Siddhanta Saraswati then after a few days went back to him and inquired, what was Mahaprabhu's order? Babaji Maharaj replied, I forgot to ask. And when Sri Siddhanta Saraswati came for the third time, he was directly refused. I asked, Babaji Maharaj said, but I did not receive the command of Mahaprabhu. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was devastated. He stood up and uttered, Karuna na haile kandiya kandiya prana na rakhiboara. Without your mercy, weeping and weeping, I will no longer sustain my life. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati resolved that however many times he refused, no further would he rotate in the world without gaining Babaji Maharaj's grace. Seeing this young man's aspirant's genuine desire and commitment, Babaji Maharaj relented. He told Siddhanta Saraswati to bath in the nearby Sarasvati. Sarasvati is actually tributary of Ganga, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in front of his resident, that river, he was known as Saraswati. Then returned after bathing, Siddhanta Saraswati, after which he accepted him as a disciple. So then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote a passage where he said that out of false ego, I was thinking I was a great scholar and I could argue with anyone. But when I got darshan of Srila Gurudev, he ignored everything that was previously appreciated in me. He said my morality, my truthfulness, pious intellectualism, he ignored everything, thinking them that there's no value, which is a fact. When I saw that he ignored everything that was good in me, I realized how good he himself must be to neglect all that. He must have such a great treasure on his own to think that this is insignificant. What inconceivable wealth he possessed. That's what he commented. That's his, okay. Now, he wrote a lot about his Gurudev. Okay, but we are going to look at in Puri, Jagannath Puri. In March 1901, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Sri Siddhanta Saraswati journeyed to Puri with the intention of settling there indefinitely to engage solely in devotional pursuits. On the way, they visited the holy place, Remuna, Bhubaneswar, and Sakshi Gopal, as was customary for pilgrims en route from Bengal to Puri. Soon becoming intimately acquainted with and attached to Puri Dham, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati expressed to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur a deep desire to perform bhajan near Srila Haridas Thakur's Samadhi. Accordingly, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur arranged for Siddhanta Saraswati to take responsibility for archan at the adjacent Giridhari Asan, one of the Shatasan Mat. Originally, these mats had been venues for meditation by the Sapta Rishis. This is, if you've been to Jagannath Puri, ISKCON. Have you seen ISKCON temple, Jagannath Puri? If you come out, you take a right, then immediately there's a road going up. So that road, they were mats of the Sapta Rishis. They had descended there. So the 7 sages whose abodes were near the pole star and who always contemplate the well-being of the inhabitants of the universe, they had descended there. It's Jagannath Puri. Everyone is attracted. Deity service was later revealed in some of the mats, and a number of Lord Chaitanya's associates had lived and worshipped there. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he went to Giridhari Asan. It was the bhajan place of Lord Chaitanya's associate, Srila Jagadananda Pandit, who there had served the deities Radha Giridhari. Actually, it's still there. It's very popular among devotees of ISKCON. They go there. Jagadananda Pandit's, he is actually incarnation of Satyabhama from Krishna Leela. And he had transcendently tumultuous relation with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Satyabhama had with Krishna. So they gladly accepted the opportunity to continue worship of deities so dear to an illustrious devotee of Lord Chaitanya. So he began giving daily lectures at Giridhari Asan, and he was worshipping there. And later, Bhaktivinoda Thakur got a small plot of land close to Giridhari Asan, and in 1902 inaugurated construction of Bhakti Kuti. Does anyone know where Bhakti Kuti is? Where?
In Mayapur.
No, Bhakti Kuti in Puri, established by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Where is it? You know? ISKCON temple. Same land. It was the bhajan kuti, bhajan place of Thakur Bhaktivinoda. So when you enter there, you see Murti of Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When they sing Kirtan there, they say Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vashtaya Shrimate Bhaktivedanta. After that, Namo, how was it? Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachinananda Namine. They'll sing the pranam mantra before each kirtan because that's his kuti. So at Bhakti Kuti during 1903, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur regularly had Sri Siddhanta Saraswati read and explain in his presence Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Govinda Bhashya, Shat Sandarbha, Srimad Bhagavatam and Upanishads, and himself sometimes putting comments. So Bhaktisiddhanta would give a lecture, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur would sit and others, and then he'll also comment. These sessions attracted a group of regular listeners, including the disconsolate Maharaj of Kashim Bazar, Shri Manindra Chandra Nandi Bahadur, celebrated as the foremost patron of Vaishnava Dharma in Bengal. So that was in Jagannath Puri. Yeah, lots of incidents happened there. So Siddhanta Saraswati remained based in Puri from 1902 to 1904. He engaged in scriptural discussions with sadhus and pandits of different sampradayas and undertook intensive study of many philosophies and prominent and obscure religious and secular, current and historical, oriental and occidental, basically every philosophy on the planet. He made a particular rigorous scrutiny of Mayavad with the aim to fight it in the future. For this purpose, he frequented the Govardhan Mat, established by Shripad Shankaracharya, situated about 100 yards from Bhakti Kuti. That is on the beach. If you come out of ISKCON, immediately opposite there's a road going to the beach which passes the Haridas Thakur Samadhi. Then if you look, because the mutt is on the beach, little on the left side. You know, Shankara established in the Char Dham each one mutt. So this is one. So Madhusudan Tirtha, head of the mutt, treated Sri Siddhanta Saraswati respectfully, personally guided him in his research, and gave him free access to the extensive mutt library. In fact, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati spent so much time discussing monism with Sri Madhusudan Tirtha that some people subjected he might join the camp, impersonalist. During this period, Siddhanta Saraswati started collecting material for Vaishnava encyclopedia that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the newspaper magnate Shishir Kumar Ghosh had requested him to compile. This is, I think, this is that Vaishnav Manjusha, known as like Manjusha means basket. So he conducted much research into the teachings of Nimbark, Ramanuja, Madhva, and compared their philosophy to that of the Gaudiya school. So now we can understand from the beginning of this, yesterday's lecture, we heard in the beginning, the reading, that there was a verse in the beginning quoted, which is significant because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared in Jagannath Puri. So it's mentioned there that the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, purifiers of the earth, will appear there. So he appeared there. And he studied all the four philosophies. This is significant. At some point, it's mentioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all the Sampradayas will merge into the Gaudiya Sampradaya and find their conclusions there and more. Okay. We can't read everything. I'll read one last part now. Actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur visited South India and East Bengal, now known as Bangladesh. On the order of his Gurudev, Srila Gaurikishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati now fully focused his efforts towards propagating the absolute truth. Actually, his Guru Maharaj had told him to give up Jyotish pursuits and preach the absolute truth, keeping aside all activities. So he did that. To further prepare himself for the task, he continued his studies of various sampradayas, traveling widely to collect sundry details about history, practices and philosophies of diverse religious groups, and to locate and acquire as many relevant books and manuscripts. We can imagine, now if you want to do research, you simply go on the internet. But that time to do research meant to visit all the different mutts and libraries, and that's what he did. So he visited Sitakund, Chandranath and other religious centers in East Bengal. In January 1905, he embarked on a tour of South India accompanied by Rajendra Kumar Vidyabhushan, an old acquaintance, widely known in Bengal as a Mayavadi scholar. Together they went to numerous important holy places, especially those previously visited by Lord Chaitanya, including Udupi, the seat of the Madhva sect, Sri Rangam, the principal spiritual hub for followers of Sripad Ramanuja, Sringeri, the southern headquarters of the original Shankara Sampradaya, and Simhachalam, Tirupati, Kanchipuram, Kumbakonam, Madurai, and many others. Wherever he went, Siddhanta Saraswati met religious dignitaries, intellectuals, and entered into learned exchanges with them. In Sringeri, the discipular descendants of Sripad Shankaracharya were unwilling to discuss with Siddhanta Saraswati, possibly because of his not being born in a Brahmana caste, or because they consider the Gaudiya an unorthodox sampradaya and thus unworthy of disputation. At Sripad Ramanuja Acharya's birthplace, what is that? Name, what is it called? Yes, Sri Perumbudur. Good, very nice. he gathered information from resident sannyasis about Vaishnav Tridandi sannyas as practiced both in their line and previously in that of Vishnu Swami. At the famous temple of Shiva in Kanchipuram and of Minakshi, a form of Durga in Madurai, the priest was surprised to see Siddhanta Saraswati conspicuous as a Vaishnava by his tilak. He entered, because Sri Sampradaya don't enter any temple, non-Vishnu avatars, not Shiva, Lakshmi, or Durga temples. Those priests were inheritors of an ancient contention with Sri Vaishnavas, who on principle never went near demigod temples. Siddhanta Saraswati explained that as a follower of Lord Chaitanya, he entered temples of demigods to offer them respect as prominent Vaishnavas, not as independent gods. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati ki jai. Hare Krishna.